Welcome to the March 5th bhyve production user call. We have John, Katya, Jan, Rod, Patrick, and soon Hazem, plus myself, Michael, so far. And Jan and I have been banging away at installing package base. And Ivy, also known as LW, a FreeBSD developer who I think we have to thank for the base package sets, has shared over the Fediverse some syntax to very streamlinedly install an ARM64 binary, which I was trying to do on another architecture just to grab some files that are not, in fact, OS related binaries. So this was a super short syntax for something that I was doing with a whole bunch of other steps. And Jan, I think you were doing similar things, building a tree of keys and other stuff. Any thoughts or observations, Jan, on this?
No, not really.
Cool. So yeah, I was
Pretty
delighted to
straightforward.
find this. It worked great. I'm a happy camper. And then because I'm simply grabbing artifacts, you can treat the resulting package, which gets a weird name, and hence the asterisk here. I thought it'd be, dot package, but no, it's like what is that, a hash or a
Yeah, it's a
timestamp
partial
or whatever.
hash, and it is important because it's a prerequisite for making package content delivery network friendly. So this change repository format, the with the truncated hash in the file name, makes it so that as the file content changes, the URL changes. So you don't have to deal with invalidating resources on a content delivery network.
Ah,
That
cool.
allows FreeBSD to piggyback packages on a normal content delivery network, so we don't have to forever stay on our homegrown um, content delivery network, which performs poorly in some parts of the world
Correct. But it's
because
self-hosted, so
FreeBSD
they're
doesn't
both
have a
valid.
point of presence in every corner of the world.
Correct. Cool. Thanks for explaining that. And yes, but this saved me a bunch of trouble. And I was hoping to show off the thing I've been working on, but then I learned that, gee, there's a feature in Make Image. And gee, wasn't documented until January, despite being there for a long time, and that was frustrating. So I thought I'd start wiring up memtest into my little framework. And I thought, oh, I'll just take a look at the image, try booting it. And it booted just fine under bhyve. Not that doing a memory test is any super helpful beyond being a stress test. But out of complete dumb luck, I didn't realize I was on ARM64. So for what it's worth, MTest 86, which is now actually cross-platform with one uh, downloaded image, works on ARM64. Have a nice day. Moving on from the post-call discussion last week, Antranik mentioned that Catchy OS is remarkably pleasant insofar as it is very hardware optimized, and you like make choices based on your specific hardware, and the result is very fast. Welcome, Hazen. We're just running through some quick things. Also, in griping about fast Wi-Fi on FreeBSD, it came up as a question, is this the chip to get? Pat Maddox pointed me to another one that's linked here. They're only like 11 bucks. These are a few bucks. But if you have a new laptop that does everything else great but needs a better Wi-Fi chip that's more FreeBSD friendly, these are ones to consider. And I will kick this down a tiny bit. I found a bunch of cool links in Vermaden's news. In reverse order, hey, you're welcome to try the new GNU, however that's pronounced, herd-based. It's not a Linux distro because it's not Linux on bhyve. I'd love to hear if that works. And then there were quite a few posts here, which maybe we'll get through later. Try on bhyve. Boom. And welcome, Haytham. I hope you are free to talk. Patrick Howson joined and had a free moment and can't help but notice that FreeBSD 13, on which TrueNAS Core is based on, will go end of life shortly, such that creating jails will be perhaps quite difficult if, say, Patrick, will mirrors go away or just the fact that it'll be end of life without? updates.
First of all, the package mirrors will go away. And without
Alrighty.
installable packages, you're bound to build everything from ports as long as the ports collection still runs on FreeBSD 13, which is an EOL release and nobody cares and backports any patches and stuff. So, yeah.
These days, it's quite common for the ports tree to quickly put in a safeguard to block building on end-of-life releases.
Okay.
So there
Okay.
will be the option of saying some environment variable you can put in make.conf to still try to make it work, but given that now they can trust to have at least 14.3's make all the tiny changes in the user land and so on, which accumulated between 13 and 14, and now something ports could depend on, and yeah, so you will quickly be left without the ports tree.
So there's the context. I will have Tuesday's call posted shortly. It is rendered, but I just need to take the few minutes to get it uploaded. And thank you, Jan, for answering a whole lot of questions that Hazem had. But Hazem, how can we all help with that 1.0 download a package run up, if you will? What's on the checklist? You mentioned documentation. You mentioned docs we can perhaps even look at and compare to the product and test. Do you want to have maybe even a little hackathon on a call and just say, okay, here's a usability hackathon, for lack of a better term, and give it a go? You're muted. Yep, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
So yeah, I think I gave the documentation to just proofread and make some videos out of. So it should be done probably by tomorrow, Monday, worst case
Okay.
scenario. So I think that just the time I'll probably push it to get, and then we'll see from there. That's pretty much the pending task as far as I can see.
Could we do
And
some usability study from the experienced folks on the call? Just each of us sit down and just see
um
what jumps out, because some of it might be extremely low hanging fruit, like be it typos or otherwise. So we would love to provide that.
Yeah, like we already have, I think, CI builds running now, which you can just download off of GitHub itself.
Do you have a link for that?
So, I think I sent you on Discord, but I'll send it
Oh, no,
here
sure.
again.
Oh, yep. Cool. Oh, I see Sylve Actions runs. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I will put that in the doc and chat. Thank you. It was only like the other day. Now tell us about this documentation. Is that something in the repo that we can poke at, or you can send a PDF or something else
Not yet
entirely?
because English is not my first language, so I figured I could get somebody to proofread it and then make sure everything is right.
Well,
But
that's
I
also
think it
something
should
we're
be up
happy to
on Git
help
soon.
you happy with.
Yeah,
Happy to help with. Go ahead.
yeah. So I think I'll push it as soon as I get it, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So we have, say, native German, English, French, and other speakers here, such that, hey, we'd love to take a look at that, and we're happy to help. So welcome, Daniel. We are talking about the Sylve 1.0 kind of checklist, punch list, run up to-do list. And again, I will have that call up shortly. So any other news to report, Hazem, as you are narrowing in?
No, I had this quality of life feature that a user requested, which is kind of cool, which
Yeah.
was to provide ISO and base files that they can just select instead of pasting in links. Um, uh, since I work a lot with like OpenWRT and Debian and things like that, those have these JSON, like repositories where I can just pull from and then present links. But I didn't find anything for like downloads of pbsd.com maybe or .org maybe. If anybody knows some interesting links for that, I'd appreciate it. So that we can download like a base in like a click instead of going there, clicking a link, pasting it here, things like that.
You're looking for a JSON document telling you where to find the ISOs.
Yeah, ISOs and base files would be nice as well for jails.
Mhm.
And yeah, pretty much.
Is that in any way related to magnet links that JMG is maintaining?
Those are
That would
for
also be
the
great.
BitTorrent.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, those would be great as well.
And you say you're following the example of OpenWRT that makes this easy? You have an example, just a link to something that's like, hey, here's what I envision. How do we get there? Download. Thank you very much. You have a link. Let me drop that in. Copy. Boom. Thank you for that. You read my mind. Let's take a peek. Okay. Root releases, targets, image files.
But do we really need binary artifacts? I mean, of course we do for CI and quality assurance purposes, but not for installation by users. There should be a FreeBSD port, and the people should build binary packages in Poudriere, don't you agree? What I would love
Yeah,
is to be able to
that is definitely the plan.
PKG install Sylve and be done with it.
Yeah. It's not that we're not gonna do it. Obviously, we're gonna do that, but
And
it'll probably come after the call for testing thing, which is like next month. So that's that.
That sounds good. I mean,
Yep.
a zero dot something release would be perfect. Just a known good state that offers basic functionality, which is known not to break. And then we could start rolling out semi-production systems with Ansible and stuff by using package install.
um, I think the confusion may be that the hashes and so on, this would be so that it's easy for Slavy to find FreeBSD images to run as bhyve guests, right? What already exists is the manifests package, which gives you the checksums and so on of all the release artifacts so that you can install that package and download over an unsafe protocol and validate the result against the manifest.
So Hazem, is this to have an easier installation from the start, or is it to have easier like VM app store to choose from, like to create
Oh, it's
VMs and
definitely the
jails?
second one.
Oh,
It's
okay,
just
got
that
it.
we
Thank
need
you.
to,
Yes.
give some form of easy way to get going.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these distro websites, especially Debian in that regard, like their download links are like kind of hidden, I would say. Like it's not super apparent where it is on the website. So, it saves a lot of clicks if we can just, give it in the UI itself.
So have you looked at all at how I'm using VM images in Imagine? I'm not saying it's perfect, but I am leveraging upstream stuff and just dropping it into place. I can point you to that, but you probably have the link from the other day. It's not a perfectly solved problem, but yes, it's a problem. Some people want, well, there are many
Are we
ways to do
talking
it.
about like that the shell script that you wrote to provision VMs?
Yes, that one.
Okay, like I think we kind of, I mean, the industry as a whole kind of settled on Cloud Init at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's there,
That's kind of
and
what I was hinting at.
FreeBSD as
Exactly.
well.
Yep.
And that works pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it.
Good. But
And
does it give you the app
recently
store
we've
you're
been adding.
after? Go ahead. I'll shut up.
Sorry, what was the question?
Does it give you the kind of easy repo you click on and choose
No,
an
no, 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 no,
OS?
no. It
Okay,
is
so that,
pretty bare bones in that regard. Like we have to provide the images, we have to provide like base configs, we have to. I mean, we've made it easier in the UI,
okay.
but it's still, not as easy as I would like it to be. because it still involves some amount of knowledge about where we can get stuff, like especially I think Linux rootfs tarbals are in so many places, um, and it's not super apparent like where a user would find that. I mean, even
Yep.
in documentation, if we give it, it's not that great UX from that perspective. So
And purely for inspiration, note that UTM, the kind of KVM and Apple hypervisor framework, has this gallery where it's like, oh, here is, in theory, Windows 11 ARM, but sometimes it's just some instructions. Here's Kali Linux. Here, okay. Just purely for inspiration. Note the UTM. Has anyone on this call completely solved this problem and none of us ever have to worry about it again? But I can totally see how a user is like, oh, yeah, you want me to try Zelta under Solaris 9? Well, how do I spin up a Solaris 9 with very little effort? Well, you hopefully click twice and download and have a nice day. So maybe that's what you're hinting at. But hey,
actually, yeah, I thought about this, but then for Linux and as you mentioned, Solaris or something cool like that, it's fine. I was not sure if it's kind of legal to show things like Windows or maybe even Ubuntu at that point.
interesting.
Because
Um,
Windows in this regard has like so much community behind it. Like this link I just shared, that is super cool. Where you can get direct links to like Windows ISOs, and we use that constantly because the Microsoft website is just broken.
Ha,
Um, but yeah, that is excellent, and their scripts always work, and
let's take a
it's
look.
just fun.
I'm fascinated. And I think for years there was like the OS Zoo and other things, but maintaining those
um,
is a full-time job. Go ahead, Jan.
but there are projects, even if I can't remember the name off the top of my head, uh,
That's great.
which kind of create universal install USB sticks, which then download what's needed. And if you just have a good universal USB install image available, so that you can then boot the guest and from inside the guest pick that, you make it someone else's problem to update the list. Um,
I've actually used
You cut out there, and we definitely want to
hello, yeah.
hear. Yes,
So
so
I
welcome.
based on link into chat. This is what we use to like provision a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
like VMs sometimes, and mostly like I think like fleets of Linux desktops. Um, and that works great. No, the netboot.xyz thing.
Yeah,
It
you're
boots
on the
over.
right track, I will say. Like, yep, that's often the state of the art. And on a recent call, we did have oh, another app store. Anyway, yay. Oh, and what about either Ventoy, which I believe has a bunch of supported OSs, and iVentoy?
I've always felt uneasy about Ventoy for some reason because they have some weird artifacts in their like you know code base, uh, which makes me uneasy.
What aspect does?
Like they have some weird like built artifacts that you can't really reproduce.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm.
Well, you're asking the right questions and finding the right tools. I'm glad you're doing that.
But the tool itself is great though. Ventoy is great. Like for testing things out, it's awesome.
Yeah, totally. Oh, so who has some insights here? Who's got aspirin for the headache? Who's got concerns? All spelling, boom. Or does it sound like Hazem is on the right track? Anyone? Anyone?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sharing much in the headache because I don't have that frequently. I just have
So
a
how are
standard.
you grabbing any given OS? You want the latest Debian.
I
What do
have
you
a, I
do?
have a, I download the install medium and perform an installation.
Next, 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 finish.
Yep.
Okay,
And then I
Grandpa, other approaches?
and then I save a copy of the ZVol for future
Okay,
copies of
cool.
that same VM.
That's cool. That's cool.
So I do it once every couple of months for Debian and for FreeBSD, and that's about all I run.
I mean, you
And
don't have
and for
to run the.
Windows, of course, you have to go through all this next, accept license, enter license key, etc. So
No,
forth.
use the auto unattend scripts. I've automated all that under bhyve, so it's just boot it up, let
Okay.
it crunch away, and do the thing. So, but anyway, maybe there's many, many ways to skin this cat, and that relates to a caterpillar tractor, not a poor little feline.
I think.
So
I mean, I do
Daniel,
think that there's. I do think there should be like if there was going to be sort of a default library. I mean, we should always use the. Well, there maybe for FreeBSD folks, we should offer two options: the cloud in it, and then the no cloud option, because most of the distros, the Linux distros and OSs that I want will always have a cloud init version and almost always have a no cloud version. And that includes FreeBSD, by the way. And then you skip all the install steps. It's all automatically going to, map, expand to the drive. And, for I don't know, let's say to be conservative, 80% of usages that you need are usually going to be pretty good for that, unless you want to do some disk stuff or some frame buffer stuff or I don't know, fancy video pass through, then you might want to do a full install. But I mean, seriously, I never use the ISO anymore. I don't think I've used an ISO. Yeah, either use the auto install based on your instructions, Michael, or I use a cloud init version, and bhyve supports it really well.
this is the
Okay.
way.
Does the cloud init version of FreeBSD come with ZFS?
Yeah, there's a
Of
ZFS and
course,
Okay.
and
non-ZFS
package
Okay.
version.
base.
That's great. That's great. Because I frequently find that provided images for VMs do not fit my needs and preferences for partitioning, setup, these
Yeah,
things.
it's bad. That's actually what I was referring to, where there are some cases still where we want to do it. So like, I use a lot of encrypted, inside the encryption inside the VM, so I can't use them for that really. Or if I do, it's got to be, I'll make a small boot just using the cloud init version, and then a bigger one, which is a pain. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's obviously, but I mean, I think that we're almost all ZFS users. In which case, we make our own template, and then it's
Yep.
CFS clone, and then, and then it's game over.
Like he
We've got
said,
our yeah. I mean, I've had this fantasy that will never come true of a you know of a you know, of a Zval snapshot repository where we could just pull updates. I might even talk about this a little bit in my BSDCan talk this year, because it's just like it would just be so nice to say, okay, I need to go from version X to Y. Here's the delta, and bing bang, there you go. You got your new version.
so two quick things
Um,
on that. Uh, I believe OmniOS does that to some degree, or other Lumos distros, because they're the cool kids who first had ZFS. The other is, Patrick, all of the FreeBSD images, for what it's worth, are built using entirely upstream in-base release engineering tools. And for what it's worth, the Debian ones are built with, I believe it's called FAI, fully automated installation. And I would love to see, for example, Dev1 images built with FAIs for those who do not want System D, such that there are some, the hard work's all been done. It's a question of kind of assembling it and making it easy to consume, be it what does a Dev1 FAI image on a ZVol that is downloadable with updates that allows Daniel to have his fantasy fulfilled.
Yay.
Oh, Oh no, we lost we lost a guest who I want to just call on it just now. Yi Z has stepped away. Maybe it was not for them. So, uh Hazem, what should we look for? Will you be posting on social media? Will it be on your site? How do we know when it's time to spend an afternoon with your baby?
Oh yeah, definitely post it on like Mastodon or
Okay.
Discord or somewhere
Give us a
or the
warning.
mailing list.
We're all standing by. It's been a pleasure to watch this process. It's been great to hear you reduce your dependencies every few weeks. I believe on Tuesday you were mentioning dropping a whole bunch of like node dependencies and, you know, reducing your supply chain attack surface, et cetera, et cetera. So good work. So, John, Katya, Rod, you got anything?
Nothing from it.
Cool. Daniel B., you mentioned March in recent discussions of Zelta. How's that development coming?
What was I doing? Oh, was I doing I was
New
trying to get my
features and
rebase.
rebase, yes.
Yeah, I want to get that. I want to try that the rebase thing. I have some not production experiments, but I have some experiments going, which is, basically it's just a rename and clone of a production machine with an upstream patch. Um, and then leverages or, assumes that it's leveraging block cloning to update a jail. So I don't know, it's a fun. I think it could be very interesting for various iterative deployments. Um, I'm not explaining it very well because I have a cold, but basically just a rename and so right now one thing that Zelta does really well is it will rename and clone a backup target so that you can keep your backup history even if there's a diversion, and it'll do up to a four-way replication without having to look through without having to use uh, ZFSN dash capital R, and it does, and you can do it. So it's atomic, and it works on trees, and it works with different options and stuff like that. And it'll do up to a four-way, basically backup rotation, sort of like the log rotation, to keep all of the history of the VM, even if the source diverges. So I'm sort of changing the direction of that so that so that there's an upstream gold master that instead rotates the production version and then copies the deltas back. Obviously, the tricky part with that it has to be sort of purpose driven. It has to be for a specific purpose. Otherwise, you're copying back all sorts of junk and wasting deduplication tables. Or I don't really know how block cloning works, but I can imagine it's probably bad to overuse it. Um, but yeah, that would be really. I think it's basically an interesting experiment, and I'm curious how that could be useful to various QA teams and development teams, and even sort of application distribution for certain sort of kind of specific ideas, or at least just make it easier for people to do funky stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I'm going to be releasing that in the next couple of weeks as a beta feature, um, and see what people can do with it, because it could be handy.
Cool. Whew, deep breath. Other topics, questions, ideas, wish list items.
Oh, I should point out that that's probably totally useless for bhyve. It's because you can't do copy range with, or you can, but like I think that would be. I mean, I'd have to talk to ZFS developers about how that could possibly happen. I mean, maybe it is possible if we could use the kernel copy range call inside a VM to do something like that. That would be really, really neat. Um, I don't know if we could ever make it work with Windows, but um, it's yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm really curious about that. Would there be a way to pull that off? And would it work with
I
a
think
gvol, or would it have to be a file?
you will probably be surprised that CTLD, so the iSCSI support, already has a device-to-device copy support for VMware, where you do a kind of SAN internal copy, which is how you do fig provisioning with VMware. So instead of having your virtual machine server copy a disk image, you tell your iSCSI to please copy from this LAN to this LAN. And potentially this is a lot to optimize by not copying over the network. So maybe there is a plumbing to hook this block cloning functionality up. I don't know if it's
Well, that's
already
cool. I mean,
done, but
yeah, I mean, at least I could sort of suggest the idea and see what's possible. It would be really fun to experiment with that sort of thing.
We look forward to your executive summary.
Absolutely.
I see someone quick click the link. What do we have here? Let's see. Ooh, basics. Okay, from Abhinav. Oh, yeah, what stood out here was the notion of, gee, what's a kernel doing, trapping and stuff. VM exits, yes, something that's not had a great definition in these circles the whole time. Do, 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 do. So, yeah, for your reading pleasure, this is a thing. And education is generally a very, very good thing. The VMM paper. Well, which VMM paper? We talking Popek and Goldberg? Today. Yeah, today is not helpful without a date. Scrolling to the end for the punchline. Got references. Oh six. Summary. Here we go. 2008 to 23. Okay, not too dated. Okay, take a peek, enjoy. And they went into QEMU and bhyve. Let's see what we've got here. And while I'm doing this, think of your questions, or we'll quit while we're ahead. Call it good. Oh, right. This, I believe, was a Summer of Code project. Maybe this is the author. And it was like, well, if Linux KVM is actually just an accelerator to QEMU, what would it look like to have bhyve as an accelerator, is my understanding. So that you can have 65 line long QEMU execution scripts. Check it. Ooh, yes,
this
yeah.
has been brought up before, and the model between QEMU KVM and the workload split in bhyve is quite different. So you can't just easily implement QEMU with VMM device infrastructure.
Got it.
There was some part which was kind of bhyve does it, user space sets it up, kernel does the rest, and QEMU does it the other way around.
Well, I, for one, like that they are looking under the hood here. Here's vCPU allocation. Entrenig had some information there on, say, the pinning rework, and that's gotten some great, lovely recent attention. So yeah, for your reading pleasure, I love how those are under the hoods. Other ideas, questions, concerns, funny jokes.
Oh, I have a question for Hazem. If
Yes, please.
I noticed that Sylve is using libvirt, and I was wondering what it. Well, I guess the question is, I just don't really know much about it, and why that's part of the plumbing.
Sorry, my headphones got cut off. Could you repeat the
No
question,
worries.
please?
Oh, I was just curious about libvirt. Like, what does it do for you, and how are you using it? And should we all be using it? Like, what's what's it doing for Sylve?
Okay, so I really like standardized formats for pretty much everything. So either JSON or XML or something like that, which is kind of universal. And right now for bhyve, as much as I like the font syntax, it's kind of its own, I would say. And the Cameo accelerators for bhyve is a very good example of that. Now imagine like that becomes a really nice thing where we can just use start using it. Migrating over the libvirt configs would not be my job anymore. It would be on top of Roman or whoever is working on the libvirt implementation. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's just a flag that I have to flip in the XML config. Otherwise, what happens is I have to kind of migrate all these bhyve configs into these schema configs. That is one reason,
Interesting.
and that's a side effect of it being standardized. And the other thing is, for me at least, the jail networking was probably the hardest thing to implement in this whole project. And for VMs, it was so much simpler. One, because there is no IP address assignment or anything in the host part. And the second reason is I don't have to worry about VNet interfaces or whatever it is being used underneath. I just have to attach a bridge to it, and then all the app creation and managing its life cycle is all handled by libvirt for me, which is kind of cool. Those are two main things, and there are a lot of interesting things that thankfully Roman is doing. Like last week I got a message from him where he says like they've added support for vCPU pinning into
Oh,
libvirt, which is
okay.
amazing because I have written like hundreds of lines of code where we just do all this basic string manipulation on our own, and I would really like to not do that and use something that is standardized, like the CPU set syntax, which is really cool, which we already have for Jails anyway. So a lot of things overlap when you really look at it, but yeah, it is a dependency, and it is one of the most common dependencies in these hypervisors. So I wasn't too worried about using it. There's another thing to note, and yeah, it's pretty much just for standardization, and XML looks nicer than just text files for me at least.
Yep,
Those are like
absolutely.
the main reason, yeah.
Is there
So
is there storage glue on that? Is there
Yes,
any?
yes, yes. Roman did a lot of work on that, I believe. Like even in the last few weeks, I think he added in like different kinds of emulation support and different kinds of disk support, like volumes and raw disks and all that. We don't use that yet because we need some more granularity in that regard, which they didn't
Mhm.
add yet. But most use cases, it would be plenty, I would say.
So, Hazem, does this mean Virt Manager might be useful on FreeBSD? That's kind of the go-to interface
I tried
to
it out,
libvirt.
I
Yeah.
think last week on current, and
Yeah.
I mean it works, but it's still kind of iffy, I would say, because the libvirt is changing way too fast. Like if you look at the driver manual for libvirt here, I pasted in chat. I think the last four releases happened in the last 1 month or
Right.
so.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yes.
So, and we've had this chicken and egg problem that, well, no one's using libvirt because, well, it's not really fleshed out on FreeBSD and no one's fleshing out libvirt on FreeBSD because, well, we haven't had something like Sylve. So actually, thank you, Roman, for who's joined many recent calls for just finally really rounding that out. So yes, great news, and maybe some really great things beyond Sylve will come out of this. So feel free to show your love to this by giving it a try or otherwise. But do you know what is motivating his work? Is that for like day job, for product, for just a love of libvirt?
I think he worked on this like full time at Red Hat or something like that, and they used it a
Okay.
lot. Like
Well,
they are practically built on the stuff. So uh, yeah,
interesting. Yeah. Oh,
and another cool thing is you can
oh,
pretty
volumes.
easily like migrate from Sylve to like Proxmox if you wanted to, because Proxmox also uses libvirt.
Oh,
And
interesting. Or what about vice
pretty
versa?
much vice versa. I maybe
Ah,
I didn't think about it yet. Yeah.
please think about that because that I know of various folks that that's a hot topic for.
Yeah, it's all about edge cases in that regard, I would say, because a lot of the networking configuration stuff, or the way Proxmox manages things, some of it is really nice, some of it is really weird. Um, so edge cases, swallow us whole. So I wasn't too happy about that, but
Hmm.
yeah. In any case, like just exporting a disk, like I have a customer now who has had a lot of Azure VMs, and you won't believe the kind of like things that they have done to that poor Ubuntu image. Like they have their own kernel, they have their own weird agent stuff. Like I don't know. And the thing is, like, first we tried it on bhyve, and it would not get to the bootloader, even the bootloader. And then, we tried a lot of things. We tried, clearing the secure boot stuff, all these kind of different things. And then at the end, they were like, you know what, let's just try it under Proxmox. And there it is the same thing. We came back to, Sylve and FreeBSD, and then I don't even remember what I did. But at some point, it just started booting. And then I told them to like make a backup of everything inside it. So we just,
Huh.
use a proper Ubuntu or Debian distribution and make it work. So yeah, I think Microsoft is intentionally crippling it so that people won't use any other hypervisor. That's my conspiracy theory. But in that regard, VMware and Proxmox and things like that are excellent. Like they make it so simple so that people can move about. Like I've had no issues like importing in Proxmox images or even Windows images or VMware VM disks. And we can do that right now because we use commute tools,
Yep.
so that you can convert images on the fly as you download it, or things like that. So yeah.
This is the way. And yeah, be prepared for those questions because it's like, well, okay, fine. How do we jump in from be it Hyper-V or wherever else? That said, Rod had to drop off. John, is this what you had in mind? Just picking on people. Anything else while we're at it? Going once, going twice. Uh, okay, Katja. Do you want the honors?
Like and subscribe.
Thank you so much. Have a great week, everyone. I'll stick around for a little bit.
See you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.